Hi, I'm Judy from Fox Cities Quilt Company, and this is Sunday from the Sewing Room, where we give you tips, tricks, and a few tutorials to help you with your sewing and quilting projects. If you like our videos, please hit that thumbs up and subscribe button below, and you'll get an email every time we post a new video. I was looking around my sewing room today and I was like, what am I going to do for Sunday from the sewing room? It's always last minute, just so you know. I just kind of fly by the seat of my pants with it, to be honest with you. And then I start cleaning my sewing room, and then I know things will just come to me. So I was looking around and trying to straighten things up, and I noticed I had leftover vinyl from my Buy Annie project that I just did. I had some leftover zipper tape from Sally Tomato, and I had some leftover fabric, and just a little from a Christmas in July project I did. I'm like, what can I do with this? So today's project is, and today's tutorial is a cool project bag. Who doesn't need these? And this was so simple to make, and I'm going to show you how. Let's get started. For this project, you're going to need your leftover vinyl, and I'm not cutting it at all. It is about 28 inches, and like I said, I'm not going to cut it at all. And then you're going to need your leftover zipper. I cut this so that it's about 20 inches, and I'm going to just take it apart so that I have two halves. And then I have my zipper pull. I'm going to use neutral navy thread. I'm going to use my leftover fabric, which I have cut into strips for the outside binding. And then I have a 2-inch strip that I've cut, and that is going to be to encase the zipper. I'll show you what that is. I'm going to cut this in two, actually, and I will fold this wrong sides together just like I do a binding. I'll show you how I do that in a second. And then some fabric clips. And I am going to also use my nylon or my Teflon sewing foot. If you don't have a Teflon sewing foot, don't worry about it. You can always use painter's tape, or you can just leave the paper on, but you'll have to carefully take the paper off of your vinyl later. And then just a pair of scissors. So that's it, just this ragtag group of leftovers. So I'm going to show you what I've done. We'll get started. The first thing that I did was I pressed my strips together, wrong sides together, and then I cut it into just using a scissors. I made two strips. I made one that was 2 inches, and I folded it wrong sides together, and then I made one that was 2 1/4, and I pressed that wrong sides together, and I clipped those or cut those both in half with my scissors, and so now I have about a 22-inch strip. So I'm going to take my smaller strips that are pressed together, and I am going to clip them onto my vinyl on the short side with all of the raw edges meeting. So I am leaving the tape or the paper on the vinyl so that you can see what I'm doing here. And I am going to do this on both edges. Let me get this one on here. And then I will do the other side. And I will just clip this on here. And you can see that the paper will come off the vinyl, but for my purposes, I need it to stay on so that you can actually see what I am doing with this vinyl. And I'm going to just clip these right on here. I may fold the paper away as I'm sewing this binding strip onto the vinyl so that I don't have to tear it away. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this to my sewing machine, and just like a binding, I am going to sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance on both strips. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to flip that over and I will sew it on the other side. And I will show you what that looks like when I come back. The next thing I'm going to do, now that I have both sides done, and you can see that I edge stitched this down, and here is the other side. Oop, let me show you that. And there's the other side. And it doesn't matter which side you put down, but I'm going to now put my zipper tape right behind that binding, just like I did, so that just the zipper teeth are showing. And then I'm going to stitch right down this way to hold that zipper in place. And if I had done this right, then very little or none of the zipper tape should be showing through. And I'll get that stitched up on both sides, and then I'll show you when I come back what it looks like. But please keep in mind too that your zipper tape is going to be longer than your vinyl. So here is the edge of my vinyl, and here is my zipper tape, and it should extend down past the vinyl here as well. If you want to, you can give yourself a little more room, and let me get that stitched up for you. All right, so now I have my zipper sewn onto my vinyl, and with the glare of my lights, you can actually see the vinyl now. Here's the back, and that's what it looks like. And that's all tacked down. And remember, this is just a project bag with some leftovers, and here is the other side. So when you're sewing these on, make sure that your teeth are the same direction. You don't want to sew one upside down. So, and as you can see, both ends of the zipper tape do hang over the vinyl. It doesn't matter how far, just as long as they do. All right, and now I am going to take my zipper pull, and I am going to go ahead and put that on my bag now, my project bag. I better start up here because this one's further away. And I'll get this on here. And we gotta get this one on here. They're sometimes tricky. Sometimes it takes me 2 or 3 times to get it on there, but I usually get it. And of course I'm on camera, so it's going to be twice as hard and twice as nerve-wracking. There we go. Now we got it on there. All right, and you can see that that is going to go all the way to the edge. Now, I wanted to do as little fabric as possible. So now what we have is a tube of vinyl here. So I'm just going to roll this up and move this up so that all of my edges are lined up. Let's see if you can see that. I don't mind if my vinyl is dirty because then you get to see it. And I think that that is a good spot for the header of the bag, or the top of the bag, maybe a little bit more. If you want to, you can measure it. So this looks to be about 3 inches, and I kind of like that. So I don't know if you can see that. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make sure that all of my edges are lined up. So let's look. Looks like my bag is a little crooked. That's okay. What I can do is pull these teeth apart and make sure that the bag is lined up. It is no big deal. All right. That is all lined up now. I'm going to take this zipper pull off and see if I can get it straighter. There we go. And then I'll put that zipper pull back on. So let me get that lined up. I'm going to clip this. and so that the edges of that bag are lined up. And I'm going to put the zipper pull back on now so that that stays even. I'm glad that that happened, because if it happened to you, you would wonder, why didn't she tell us this would happen? And let me get this line back up again. And this one on here. Make sure I am in the camera view. And I'll get that lined up right in there, if I can see it. That's a little better. Oops, I didn't catch it. We'll get it lined up. I liked people to know that I am not perfect, which is why I am sticking with this. Okay, that is lined up so much better. And I will just take this all the way to the edge. And you can see that all of the ends are lined up. So you get lots of chances to get it fixed. Okay, so now let's see what this header looks like. So from the end of the zipper tape, that's 2 inches. And I want to make sure it's kind of the same over here. And that is, it needs to come down just a hair. And we are at about 2 inches, and I'm going to go ahead and clip that side too. Whoops. All right, so now that's all going to stay in place. So the next thing that I'm going to do is, you guessed her, I am going to turn this, and I am going to put the rest of the binding on. So I'm just going to let this go off the edges, and I'm going to sew right over that zipper tape, which will make me very happy. And that will enclose the ends of that zipper. Let me get this in here. And I'm going to put some clips on there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way across. And then I will do that on both sides. Here is my other piece of fabric. And I'm going to clip. You want to make sure that that zipper tape is nice and close together. And I'm going to clip this. And I will clip down here. I'll put another one in here. Okay, and then I'm going to sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way across. And then after I'm done sewing this, I want to show you, how I'm going to turn this so that you don't have a funky raw edge. All right, I have that 1/4 inch seam allowance sewn all the way across and all the way down my bag, and you can see it there. And I have my zipper tape hanging out. Now is the time to take your non-fabric zippers and go ahead and trim that zipper off even with the edge of your binding. Okay, and then see on this side you have something left over. I want you can just eyeball this, but you need to take this off about a 1/2 inch. I go about a 1/2 inch from the edge of each end of your binding. So there is one. Let me show you the back side. And I want to take off about a 1/2 inch to a 1/2 inch, I should say. And then we can get rid of that. And then here is the other side. And again, I'm going to take my non-zipper or my non-fabric scissors, and I'm going to go ahead and trim that right off. And then here is the back side of that, and I will trim that off to about a 1/2 inch. And I want to do the same on the other end. About a 1/2 inch. And you can, like I said, you can just eyeball this. Okay, so now I want to be able to finish this off. So I can take this, I'm going to fold it over or fold it out away from the seam allowance, and then just fold this in and tuck this. Let me show you that again because I don't think I was on camera with it. So I'm going to fold this in and I'm going to tuck this down to create a finished edge, just like that. And I am going to go ahead and put my binding clips on, or my fabric clips on here. I wanted to show you though that I am going past the vinyl on the other side because what I want to do is I want to stitch right in here so that I catch that fabric on the other side, and so I don't have a lot of stitching on the front side of my bag. So let me turn this back over, and I'm just going to have that go down just a bit, just like that, and I'm going to just keep clipping and keep clipping until I get to the edge. And again, let me show you that fold. I'm going to fold this in just like this, and then I will fold it down again. You want to make sure that raw edge is tucked in there even, and go ahead and clip that. Oop, I want this side down so that you have a finished edge. Can you see that? And I'm going to do this on both sides, and I'll show you what this looks like when I come back. So there it is, all finished up. A nice little project bag made with leftovers. I love using my leftovers. And this will hold a nice big block or anything else that you have a project for. So I am doing this project called A Room with a View, and look at that. All of my projects will go right in there. I can easily see what I'm doing, and that is with all of my leftover vinyl. So that's our project for today, is the super fast, super easy vinyl project bag using leftovers from my sewing room. You all can do this. This is not hard. It was pretty easy. And then I started scrounging around again, and I'm thinking, oh, I have been dying to use the new Tula Pink zipper tape and zipper pulls. I scrounged around some more. Look what I found for the binding. And I got some pink vinyl from So Hungry Hippie. I'm going to have fun with this one. So that's our tutorial for today. Thank you so much for watching Sunday from the Sewing Room. This is Judy from Fox Cities Quilt Company. Have a good day.